You cannot live in the present moment if you're paying for your past choices with your current cash flow. It means your past choices are all your debts.
Right.
So the way the wealthy, and you know what, some would say that I'm wealthy, but the way that infrastructure or the wealthier or governments control people is by having you have more debt.
Right.
Because then you can't live in the present moment because you're paying for all your past choices, and it traps you and you get a lack of freedom. I am Julie Murphy, otherwise known as Murph.
Murph.
And I am, call me a financial healer, a financial therapist, a financial wellness coach. And it's about the fact that we need to live our lives from the inside out and stop all this acting out with money and all this other good stuff. And because I always say that we work things out or we act it out, and we do it through our health or our money. And I'll also add the caveat in our relationships.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Ooh, yeah, that stings, doesn't it? It stings.
and especially right now, one thing that I always found fascinating about what you said is that when people are trying to get their wealth in order, their health typically suffers.
Oh, yes.
Health in order, our wealth typically suffers. I remember when I was competing in bodybuilding, I was broke all the time. I focus on all so you got to have balance there, and finding that balance. It's what's up, Jessica? Finding that balance it can be very daunting because it makes you have to go within and really be honest with yourself about these deeply rooted issues that we compensate with. It's all about the compensation. So being able to look at the energetics behind how we approach health and wealth. And really, I think you'll agree, Julie, that it really comes down to really getting to know and understanding your own fear. And right now, fear in the form of vulnerability is massive.
Oh, it's like everybody just wants to go, whoo, whoo.
Right? Now this unknown, there's can we talk about these underground kids coming up in NYC? Well, we can probably fit that in somewhere, but the foundation of this discussion is going to be about the vulnerability. I don't want to get too much into politics quite yet, and a lot of it is still speculation, okay? But I have no doubt all that stuff is going on. But really want to focus on what we can do in our present situations to.
Well, can I actually speak to that for one second? Because well, and the reason I'm saying that is because the fact that I have seen this multiple times today, that we are looking for things in the outside of us to attach to and to validate, maybe that's true in New York City, maybe it's not true in New York City, but what we're doing is it's a distraction to dealing with your own shit. Pardon my French, that is a technical term in finance. But but this is what we do. We come up with these distractions to actually dealing with what's really true for us on the inside. And when we're attaching to all this noise about the virus, we are being distracted from doing our work because this time is all about going within. Okay. And we have to love ourselves enough to take that time. I was completely distracted yesterday down my old patterning, and I was just no, I am enough and I am worthy, and I am not going to take a left hook and abort the work that I've done. And it's no, I know I want to be a force of light in this world. I know I want to be this lighthouse, this bright light that's going to give hope that you can have your dreams and your desires can manifest reality. And I know how to help people get there because I've done it myself, and I've done it for tons of clients through the years.
Exactly.
And Justin, you and I are not, we're included in this pile of poop that's going on.
Oh, 100%. We're right back in the middle of it.
We're totally knee deep in. There is nothing around that. We are in it.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. And so
I got a really good question here. So what would you say is a good start to stay focused and connect with our inner selves?
Ah,
Because we
well,
do need a starting point. You can talk about it all day long, but if you don't know where to start, then it's kind of null and void. So
well,
what would you suggest, Julie?
well, what you need, the first thing you need to do is stop talking to all the people about all the stuff going on outside of yourself.
Okay.
Like, I have some friends, I love them, but oh my God, they're so stuck in their stuff right now that I
Oh yeah.
cannot, I need them in micro doses. And I'm not talking shrooms in
Right.
micro doses. I'm talking friends in micro doses. I'm, I'm talking that, sorry, I digress.
No, I love it. You're exactly right.
But it's because of the fact that when you start to attach, and even if you're having empathy or compassion, or you're feeling guilty, or you're judging, or whatever,
Mhm.
that is distracting you from what your inner work is, you
So
know?
true.
And this time is all about connecting to your higher self. And
Right.
so you can do that in different ways, like distract yourself, like go for walks. Like, I cannot tell you how much guidance I'm getting right now going for walks by myself outside.
Yeah, I hear you.
Super simple thing to do, but I couldn't do that walking with people down the street, because if I was walking with other people, I'm talking about everything else and I'm keeping myself busy and I'm keeping myself distracted. And clearly
Right.
I like to talk, you know, but that was not allowing these feelings and stuff like that, because when you're open and you're vulnerable, what this whole process is doing is it's cracking open our hearts. It's cracking them open.
Oh
And
yeah.
we're not used to walking around the world with an open heart, because we're tactically moving with our minds.
Right. I
And
agree.
so we need to learn how to be in openness, but part of that is letting the gunk come up and come out.
Right. We have to let that gunk come up to clear and not push it back down. And right now, there's actually allowing all that gunk to come up and sort of forcing itself out. Like there's almost a forced purge because all of our distractions are being taken away. But with that being said, there's other distractions that are taking place of the distractions that we subjectively chose. Now it's like there's these distractions that are based in fear that are coming up that are consuming everyone, which is creating like this hive mind in the world. And that hive mind is having it's sort of like a prayer for what you don't want, right? So that's
Totally.
why that meditation tonight was so powerful. I don't know if you guys noticed, and if you missed the meditation, that's okay. There was like over 1 million people easy that were doing it, and when everybody started focusing on love and clearing and being centered in that peace, you guys go check out the Schumann's resonance from the night of the 4th. It blasted wide open. If you don't know what the Schumann's resonance is, it's what the earth vibrates, oscillates at. And when there's a spike in the Schumann's resonance, that means that it's elevating our collective consciousness. Okay, so we had a massive spike. It's already raising quickly, and that just gave a huge blast of clearing out all this deep dark stuff. So we're going to start to see the ripple effect of that here in the next few weeks. And it's going to look really nasty and shitty on the surface, and the media is going to try to spin it. So please don't watch the mainstream media. Please stay away from that.
But that's all so whether you were on that meditation or not, but part of the way that you align with this energy moving is by meditating.
True, 100%. Yes.
And
So
even if it means, some people are like, I don't know how to meditate. You know what? Just sit there and
right,
close your eyes.
right,
Or walking is a meditation. So walk.
right. Anything that brings you into the present moment is really a meditation.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because living in the present moment, I don't know too many people that actually really know how to do that, because we have a
No.
lot of anxiety and a lot of depression going on in our
Oh,
world.
yeah.
And
Everywhere.
anxiety is that you're worried about the future, and
Right.
depression is you're worried too much about your past.
Right.
And many of us do not know how to live in the present moment. And now
It takes a
I
lot
apply
of
that, yeah, and I apply that to money by saying, okay, let's talk about like this government money that's coming out.
mm,
Can we?
great top. Oh, absolutely.
Can
Bring
we
it
go
up.
there?
Bring it on.
Let's
Let's
go
go
there.
there. Let's
Let's
do
go
it.
there. Because what this is it's a big, big, big problem. Why?
I agree. Okay. Why is
Because
it a big problem?
you cannot live in the present moment if you're paying for your past choices with your current cash flow.
Mm,
Means your past choices are all your debts.
Right.
So the way the wealthy, and you know what, some would say that I'm wealthy, but the way that infrastructure or the wealthier or governments control people is
Mhm.
by having you have more debt.
Right.
Because then you can't live in the present moment because you're paying for all your past choices and it traps you and you get a lack of freedom. Now, I am not saying I'm a finance person, I got my MBA. I certainly understand that this fiscal packet is
Yeah.
what was needed so that we don't hit a major depression. I get that. What I am saying is people are doing a money grab right now.
Right.
And that is terrible.
Right. Because they're going to
Terrible.
get the money, they're going to blow it, and then they're going to be like, okay,
Well,
well,
and then you're gonna have a spending hangover and you're gonna go, now what?
now what?
So
Exactly.
So I would caution people that if you choose to take some of these loan programs and stuff like that that are going to be open,
Hmm.
don't spend it. If you really have to take it, like find another way. In the 1930s, people didn't have credit cards and debt instruments to get them out of the depression. And I'm not saying we're in a depression. We are not in a depression. So I don't want anyone to freak out.
I am live here with Julie Murphy, aka Murph, and we are streaming live on her YouTube channel, which is what is it again?
Emotion behind money.
Emotion behind money. Because let's face it, everything at the very core of it is emotional, right? This
Yeah.
woman's a very, very successful wealth coach. So go over to her YouTube channel and check it out, and you can see us both talking here. I know you guys can only see me. I'm sorry about that. Uh, so yeah, this vulnerability that comes along with this experience that we're having, the unknown, the not knowing where money's going to come from or what is going to happen next. How do we deal with that vulnerability?
You know,
Besides meditation, of course.
I think it goes back to, I really think a big piece of it is going back to this place of empowerment. So when you're feeling vulnerable, make your world a little bit smaller, right? Like if you're feeling raw and open and vulnerable, keep your circle small that day because it's like feel your way through because it's like building a muscle. Being open and vulnerable is
Yeah.
like that you got to work that muscle and you got to build that muscle. You don't become buff like Nam until you've like built the muscle, right? You know,
Absolutely.
as opposed to like the jiggly skin, right?
Yeah, a jiggly skin don't feel good.
No, but you have to build the muscle
Thank you.
and really, really love yourself enough to allow yourself to walk across the bridge. You are not going to get from where you are today to where you want to be to in one jump.
So true. So, and a lot of people want that instant gratification. And right now, there really is no instant gratification. It's just,
Right.
you have to sit in it. So again, and this goes back to the very base energetic difference or separation that is going on that I talk about all the time with astrology is that, are we going to choose love or fear? And each one of these topics, each one of these experiences is a potential to choose love or fear.
Absolutely. Yeah, and please, if you have questions for us, come right on the chat here. Just give us a question. I know Justin's getting some from his Instagram feed, but you can come in here on the chat right here on YouTube, and so we can answer your questions because this is not necessarily, we are here as a resource to help you through this vulnerable time because it is not easy. And Justin and I have a lot of tools at our fingertips, whether it's work that he and I do directly, like if you're needing help with your health or your wealth. But we also know other people that do other things that we know will also help you. And we want to be that resource because we can't be the experts at everything. And it depends where you're getting jammed up at. You know, exactly. I talk about in my book, Awaken Your Wealth, that we have these different parts of our lives that usually one area of it's dominating your life, whether it's your finances or your personally, which includes your health, or it's your career or family. Like there's usually something that's dominating everything else and it's throwing something else off. And we're not living life in a harmonic state because it's a lot of things to try to manage at one time. And so you have to build that toolbox up.
I believe that this whole like social distancing and quarantine thing, I think it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
I think that
I
it's very
agree.
healthy for us to get outside and sun and get fresh air. Being stuck in the house is not healthy. And in fresh air, you're not going to catch a virus just by walking around, like especially if you're going for a hike or something like that. It's physiologically impossible. So I do think that there's some kind of underlying
But that's not what
situation
we're
going
being
on.
told.
Huh?
That's not what we're being told.
Well, yeah. Well, clearly you can't trust anything that anybody's saying right now. So
Yeah. Well, and that's where you just have to follow your inner compass.
exactly, exactly. Following that inner compass is so important right now. And just like say you like go outside for a walk real quick and it feels great. Well, then go enjoy that walk.
Mm.
Walking down the street or in a neighborhood where nobody else is around, not going to hurt you. Anything that's going to help you. Okay.
Well,
But
you need the fresh air. You need to move. You need to get it going.
right, exactly. So, take care of your health. Like, this is a great time to study up on, different aspects of finances or health or exercising at home or, whatever it is that you can control. All right, get into that. Try it out. Get curious. I've just created an opportunity community on my website that's getting ready to launch any day now. It's either today or tomorrow.
That's
Feel
awesome.
free to join that. Like, we're creating a network of people that want to grow and learn and going through a coaching process to be in the present moment and to identify exactly where you want your life to go and networking with some great new people so that, we can all grow and flourish together and be vulnerable. The big thing right now is that everybody is feeling vulnerable, but nobody wants to feel it. So you have to
Oh,
be
yeah.
okay with feeling that,
That is so true.
right?
Well, and the thing is like, as an example, 2:30 in the morning last night, I wake up and I'm like, I did not know what this emptiness that it
Mm-hmm.
was that I had. And you talked to me last night, like a few hours before bedtime, and I was just sad. Like I was like stuck and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I didn't even know why. And
Right?
then at like 2:30 in the morning, I just woke up and it was just like, and then I just had a good cry and it was over. And it was like, I woke
Yeah.
up a new person. I don't even know what that stuff was stuffed down to me. And I don't really care. All I know is I feel like $1,000,000 today.
Exactly. Those feelings are not going to be able to put like words to it per se right away. And real quick for Ali Cantro, click the link in my bio, download my free ebook, and that'll put you on the mailing list for the opportunity community, and then you'll be getting that information from there. Okay, let's do it. But yeah, look, like last night, for example, I was tired yesterday, and I was watching a movie, and I started crying out of nowhere. I don't know why. I
Mm,
was just tears running down my eyes. And I felt this loneliness and, but that's okay. Like,
that's totally okay.
and like big dudes like me got to cry too. It's the problem is when we don't allow ourselves to cry, right?
That's so
And
true.
crying is a release. Also, did you know that 60% of your tears are made of cortisol?
Get out of here.
So you're
See, we
crying, you're
all just
releasing
learned
cortisol,
something on our health right now.
right?
Cortisol, seriously, I would have been crying a hell of a lot more through all the years with all the stress going on in my gut.
Right.
Where were you 10 years ago?
I was defusing bombs in Iraq 10 years ago.
No, but that's super helpful for people to know. Like, that just goes to show you that our body actually knows.
Right. Our
Our
body does
body
know.
knows what to do. Our body knows what to process. Our body knows what to like have happen. And we don't have to figure it all out with our ego minds.
Right.
This
The
is the
body is the
problem.
subconscious mind. It's our central nervous system is hardwired into our body. So when you learn to translate the energy or the responses of the body in relationship to what you're doing, that's when you've mastered yourself, right?
So can we talk about that for a second? So always when I'm coaching people on their money,
Uh,
that normally when they're having a knee-jerk reaction. So like today I was talking to some clients and um I had this one person who was projecting her vulnerability onto her husband. And in this process, I just sat there and I go, can you please observe your body right now? And she's like, what? And she's like leaned into him and she's like, "Burr, burr, 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 burr." And I was just like
that.
sit back. I said, your body is screaming at you that something is not in alignment with you, and you are trying to make it about him, but it's actually not. It's about you.
Right. Whole lot of projection going on, especially right now.
So here's one of the most important things that I teach my clients is that
Okay.
when you are triggered, so your body gets triggered,
Mm-hmm.
something needs to shift in you.
100%.
But most people think it's about everything outside of themselves,
Right.
not themselves.
Exactly.
Whether it's your employer, your spouse, your parents, your kids, the president,
Yeah.
Congress, China. What are you doing with China? Like everybody is like, and I'm not saying that those are not valid points. But what I'm saying is you're triggered.
Right. Face the trigger within whenever some external factor is making you feel some kind of way. It's not them. So right now we're talking about triggers. All right. Facing the trigger within ourselves is the learning potential, is how we grow. When we're being triggered by, even if with the situations right now with China and the president and COVID and Pizzagate and all this crazy shit going on, how is it triggering you and why? Why is it making you feel a certain way? And then we project it out into the rest of the world. And we want to realize that the trigger is actually the teacher. It's what's trying to teach us to grow. So why are we choosing to allow the trigger
Totally.
to get us to feel a certain way when it's actually trying to help us grow? And when we make that switch, that is, so society teaches us a victim mentality. It does. The marketing and everything towards everything, it's, oh, we need to save everybody. The people need the government to control them because they can't control themselves. That's crap. I don't believe that that is true. And I believe that the age of Aquarius is bringing us into a place where we are learning to control and be responsible for our own lives. Okay. And as we're learning how to do that, we have to disconnect from this matrix thought process and start to realize, hey, these things are triggering you for a reason. Wake up and look within and see why you're being affected like this.
Right.
And then go from there.
Yep, exactly. And Nam, I'm just going to say that this is me and you actually here. I am going to try to do this on my live Instagram at the same time.
Oh shit. Okay.
Ooh, watch out. Because we need to heal the world here.
We do.
This is what we are here to do, and this is what we've just got to get done.
100%. And that's what we're doing, one day at a time.
When it comes to the triggers that we're talking about, we have to remember that if you're in a state of anger, that just means that that's deep sadness. If you're at a place where you're enraged about stuff, like some of these people who are way off to the right or way off to the left, and they're like barking at everybody and they're enraged.
Yeah.
That's just an extreme version of anger, and anger is an extreme version of sadness. So I always tell people when they're triggered by anger or rage, I want them to just ask themselves every day going, why am I sad? Why am I sad? Why am I sad? Because it's typically not about what you're sad about. It's typically about something that's buried in from years ago about something else that for whatever reason, this particular instance you're in is triggering it because it wants to come up and out. And the only way it comes up and out is by feeling your feelings.
100%.
The only way.
Absolutely.
In all the research I've done for my book, The Emotion Behind Money, and Awaken Your Wealth, like that's what it's all about. You have to feel your feelings. You have to
fucking feel it
in your reality. That's why I'm saying don't create the debt right now. Make conscious choices to not create debt. When people say I don't have a choice, and I'm going to say baloney. We always have a choice. You are not a victim. You have a choice.
Right.
And make a conscious choice. Now, the menu may not be very good at the time. But
There's
you know
always
what?
a
Do
choice.
you like everything on the menu in a restaurant?
Leave.
Maybe, but usually not, you know? So, but make the best choice on the reality that you sit in. I think too
Right.
many times we talked earlier about these distractions, the distractions just cause it so that you're not actually looking at your reality. And I walk clients through what I call the PACT process, PACT. And the second step in that process is about accept your reality.
Acceptance is huge. That's so true.
Yeah. We just have to accept the fact, like, it took me a while to accept the fact that I was getting divorced.
Right.
You know, that was a tough one for me to swallow because Julie doesn't fail at anything.
Yeah.
But you know what? The minute I accepted it and the minute that I started to move past it, that's when me and my ex-husband and my kids started to thrive. Because I just started to accept it.
That's beautiful.
And I held the container for all of us to thrive, despite the fact that it didn't turn out how we thought it was going to turn out. Because nobody goes into a marriage.
Yeah, typically does not look like what you think it's going to look like or what you expect it to. It never does. That's why you have to be flexible in your approach, but and let go of any kind of expected outcome. Now, of course, to a certain extent, you know, if you say you work on a big business venture, like you have to have like projections, but usually the end result is not what you project. It's going to change multiple times.
Yep.
Okay, so yes, anger is a toxic emotion, but a great motivator to dig deep for sustainable fuels. Well, it can be in a certain place, but ultimately that's going to be counterproductive.
Yep.
Forget about it.
Hey, and this is a really good point, actually. We have to keep our humor.
Yes, thank you. Okay, sorry.
We have to keep our humor. We absolutely need to just like allow ourselves the space to learn.
Yes, allow ourselves the space to learn.
It is super important right now to allow yourself the space to learn and don't judge and don't blame, don't have any guilt. This is a learning curve for all of us. Nobody's getting out alive.
Yes, mass awakening. That's what I was talking about. So with this massive awakening that was going, well, yeah, I got like 10 people just told me. Okay. Hey, I love you guys too. You're my beautiful people. So with this mass awakening going on, right? A lot of people are coming into these very strange places emotionally, energetically, that they've maybe never been vulnerable before. They all of a sudden they're having weird dreams or feeling different or wondering why, you know, life just doesn't seem right anymore. All of a sudden they feel out of place in their own lives. And so with all the external stuff, but even internally, right? So that's where reaching out and us being vulnerable, talking about this, right? And even dealing with these technical circumstances, it's important to go into it with a childlike curiosity and start opening up about talking about issues like this, because really financially and physically, everything all boils down to the emotional code underneath it. So, and all the stuff that we have not dealt with yet.
And I will say that your physical outcome as well as your financial outcome are the results of how you deal with everything.
Amen. Exactly.
Because people think if they get their finances together, that fixes their life. And that never fixes their life.
Nope.
Because I just said to a client today, I go, I can tell you right now. She goes, I just want to be abundant. And I'm like, great. Well, I know people who have $5-10 million and they don't feel abundant. Because if you're not doing it from your heart, if you're not doing it from here, you are always going to have a void.
Yes.
You are always going to have this void because your soul is yearning for something else. And if you don't build your life from your heart, from the inside out, if you don't do that, you are never going to feel abundant, because when you cross the finish line and get $3-5 million, you're not going to feel any more whole. But everybody who doesn't have $5 million thinks that they will be whole once they get $5 million. And you don't. You absolutely don't. I'm sure you've said that. I heard you say the other day, ma'am, you said the other day, something like, yeah, bro, you know, yeah, I got, you know, the 6-pack, but it really hasn't gotten me what I wanted out of life.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
And it's the same thing. I've got all the money, hasn't brought me anything, where I exactly wanted to be.
Right.
And it's because I negotiating myself away in my marriage. And
Right.
I didn't love myself enough to be myself. I didn't stand in my power. And then when I did, I realized I was in a place that didn't serve my heart.
Right.
And not that I don't care about him, and I'll always have love for him because he's the father of my 4 kids. But there's a grieving process that we have to allow ourselves to go through when we realize the reality that we created was not in aligned with our hearts.
So true. And I think that comes from our conditioning when we're a child, right? Like I know for me, growing up and going through everything, I had the lowest self-esteem of anybody that I knew, which, you wouldn't be able to tell on the outside, but on the inside, like I was so hard on myself, and I had this armor that I used to protect myself because I was afraid of opening my heart. And even like I think everybody wants to feel abundant, but we lie to ourselves about what is going to make us feel abundant. Like, when I get this amount of money, I'll have the great relationship, or I'll be able to travel the world and have this experience, or, get in shape because I can afford the best trainer. It's bullshit, because nobody can do the work for you in your heart. Right. And you're not going to have a healthy intimate relationship until you get right in your own heart, because you're going to have these learned lessons come back to teach you, how to actually love yourself.
You can't have somebody else fill your void.
No.
That doesn't work.
So we either do it through like emotional eating, or spending money, or, working out too much or not enough.
Yeah, it's your addictions.
There's addictions that go all over the place with this. And addiction to me is defined by anything that throws your life out of balance. It can be an addiction to anything.
Good and bad.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So make sure that like the work, the fundamental work, and the message always ends up coming back around to this, is by being present and listening to your heart, and going forward and having the courage to step forward in your heart, and knowing that everything in the external reality is there to teach you something. Right. Exactly. And, and this situation that's going on right now is really showing us how much we do or don't love ourselves. Right. We feel that void deep down, and we just keep, chasing tail, or just chasing money, or chasing workouts, or chasing something. Yeah. I
haven't heard that phrase in a while. Hey, I'm 47. I think I'm going to go chase some tail.
Well, yeah, tail chasing is a little back in the day. That just shows my age. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, shit. Okay. And I'm not giving relationship advice by any means. I'm still single at 41 years old. So of course I would love to.
You're a pump. Oh my gosh. You're a pump.
But like, I've finally gotten to the place where I do love myself. And now I'm just, okay, like, I need someone else that loves themselves, because I'm not settling for less than that shit. Right?
Exactly. Well, you know what? That actually brings up another point. So as we're trying to change our conditioning and change, with things that are in line with our heart, what tends to come out with a lot of people is like behaviors that are almost parasitic in nature.
Yeah.
So for example, like when you're saying like, I want somebody who steps in an empowered state themselves, right? So like, I'm stepping into being an empowered divine feminine, which means I'm not going to resonate with anybody who doesn't stand empowered in their divine masculine, because all that happens, this whole thing of like in relationship of who's got the power and who's in control, like that is not it. You got to stand in your power, and he's got to stand in his power, or, depending on your sexual orientation, whatever that is, y'all got to stand in your power. And if you're not, then what starts to happen is there's this thing where there's this neediness and this parasitic nature, like, I need something from you. And it's like, no, because if you're living your life from a place of self-love and self-care, you don't need anything from anybody, because you're whole within yourself. Now you may desire to be with that other person,
right?
But you don't need it.
Interdependence, not a codependence.
Correct. Right.
Yeah, and that's what we want. We want interdependence.
Yep.
Yes, Julie. Yes.
Amen, bro.
Yeah, bro. Thank you,
Can
guys.
you tell I have 8 brothers, bro?
You have 8 brothers?
I have 8 brothers.
Holy crap, that's a lot of family.
Well,
Your
there's
parents
12
did-
kids. Mary and Julie, Donnie, Brian, Matt, Colleen, Danny, Mark, Timmy, Peter, Johnny, Katie.
Did you get that from Goodwill Hunting? Are you
No,
sure?
those are all my brothers and
Uh-huh.
sisters.
Say it again. Say it again. Come on, just as fast.
Mary
Let's
and
go.
Julie, Donnie, Brian, Matt, Colleen, Danny, Mark, Timmy, Peter, Johnny, Katie.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's 12 of us. 8 boys, 4 girls. I
Yeah.
am
Look,
number 2.
okay.
But see, this is where, we have to understand that, like, my childhood completely prepared me for, like, the life that I'm living today. So, like, a lot of people have this gunk stuff that they haven't felt from their childhoods, because we got to remember, our subconscious mind is fully developed by the time we're 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work things out and we act it out from that subconscious nature.
Right.
And so we have to unpack some of that stuff, because what got you to where it is that you're at today is not going to get you to where you're at tomorrow.
Exactly. Shifting from a survival mentality to an abundance mentality, you have to go in and dig up all the shit that's been constructed in that survival mentality. It ain't going to work to go forward. And that's where the vulnerability comes in. Now, and when you're vulnerable, when you're going into that vulnerable place that doesn't feel good, you feel disempowered, you feel weak, you feel like a little bitch, whatever word you want to put on it, you don't feel good. But you have to go into that not feeling good and give it a hug and be okay with it. And once you're able to actually embrace that darkness within you, then you can go from that place into the higher vibration. And that is what the process is all about. So you have a vision like, I want to be here in 5 years. Okay, really? You sure? And instead of cerebrally trying to figure that out, you have to learn to go within, because the first half of that journey is not going to be all sunshines and rainbows. You're going to have to get your ass kicked a little bit to get out of the behavior patterns that you're in.
Totally. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? It all boils down to self-love and self-care.
So true.
So we have to be willing. The moral of the story today is be willing to open your heart and be vulnerable, right?
To open your heart and be vulnerable.
Minimize your distractions.
Minimize your distractions. Number 2.
And then go back and love yourself some more.
Go back and love yourself some more.
And do those practical action steps that actually support that self-love and self-care. And you know what? We may or may not know exactly what that means, because it seems a little esoteric. But when you wake up and something makes you giggle, then that's what actually is the next best step.
Yeah, exactly. No pressure, no diamonds. I like that. But the pressure is coming from love.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that's baloney. I gotta say, because
I had a feeling you're going to say that.
Suffer anymore? Why does it have to be hard? Why does it have to be pressured? I don't think it has to be hard. We choose that struggle.
We do. We
create suffering cycles.
We do. Humanity as a whole right now is addicted to suffering, and that is the major problem. But the Buddha, says like what desire is the root of all suffering, or expectation is the root of all suffering.
Right.
Right. So if we can let go of expectation of whatever the outcome that we desire, ironically, when we let go of it, that's when it's there.
Exactly. Right.
Well, okay. So Leslie said, but we don't usually make changes unless we are forced to. And that is the old paradigm. That is the old way that the world thought. Going into the 5th dimension, it doesn't have to be tough, but the belief system that is tough is the problem. It's the belief. So we have to train ourselves to believe that we deserve. This is a self-worth issue.
Right.
That we deserve to be abundant, that we deserve to be loved the way they want to, that we deserve to be healthy, right? So stop, catch yourself in that belief system like, oh, fuck, this has to be hard. It has been, yes, that's the past. It doesn't have to continue that way, right? So we have to break down the conditioning to recreate our story, to rewrite the new conditioning that we want to create.
Absolutely.
Bam.
Well, Justin, we are at our hour, my friend. I don't know how it goes by so fast.
Because we in that zone, baby.
We in the zone. Yeah. And you know what? We just want to help everybody. And so come join us. Justin can be at spiritualbodybuilder.com. You can reach me at juliemurphy.com. And we've got lots of resources, lots of help. So come join us. We are here to help and shine and bring the bright light to many.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. And if you guys please go to my AG page and click on the link to download my free ebook. And please go and like Julie Murphy's page. And I highly recommend getting her book. I've read her book and it is powerful. And it like the fundamental message is always the same, but we always need those different perspectives or approaches or structures to be able to create this new paradigm that we all want to create. And stay tuned and posted for information for my opportunity community as well. I'd love to have you all on board. Julie, thank you so much again. I love you. We're doing this every Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
And let's all, yay.
Spread more love.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.